Let's talk about it. Come on and shout it. I talk, you talk, we talk. Women talk life. It ain't no surprise. Baby, you could see if you would open up your eyes. You won't understand if you can't open up your mind. So let's stop wasting time when women talk live.
And welcome to another episode of Women Talk Live. I'm your girl, April J.
I'm SassyScribe.
And this is KL Boogie.
And today we are talking about girl. That's not me.
Girl. G-U-R-L at that.
Yes. That's clear. What you feeling ain't love.
What? What you said?
Right. Alright. So before we get into any of that, we're going to get into our history facts. And this first one is it's interesting. Hold on, let me make sure I pull up the right thing. Okay. All right. The first one has to do with the dishwasher. God bless who invented the dishwasher, because I hate washing dishes with a passion. But Josephine Garris Conrad like to say she invented the dishwasher because her servants kept chipping her fancy china, which is a polite 19th century way of saying if you want something done right, event a appliance, which she did. So, born in 1840s, Contran designed, patent, manufactured, and even personally sold the first truly modern water pressure dishwasher, all without formal engineering training. She also quietly inflated her social status, letting reporters imagine a whole staff of butterfingered servants and even a family linked to a steamboat inventor, John Finch. While census records suggest she had at most one servant and no such illustration of ancestry, widowed and in debt in the 1880s, 1818, well, 1880s, she teamed up with mechanic George Butters. That's funny. Built a copper tub machine with wire racks and hot water jets, and won honors at the 1893 World Columbian Exposé, where hotels and restaurants fell in love with her speedy dish blasting contraption. By the time she died in 1913, her company had laid the groundwork for what became KitchenAid. The basic idea behind your modern dishwasher is still pretty much Josephine's way of saying dishes, not my problem.
Wow.
So
KitchenAid. Wow.
KitchenAid, ain't that something?
Yes.
Even though I have a GE, but hey,
I never used my dishwasher. I've
Huh?
never used, in the 10 years I've been in my house, I've never used my dishwasher.
Really? Oh, I love
Never.
it. I love it.
But see, it's just me, so I'm not putting one cup and I'm not gonna let it build up. So I clean as I cook and get it out the way.
No,
I
shouldn't go in the dishwasher.
I needed it.
I don't care if it's one fucking cup. It's going to the dishwasher. All right, so here's another thing that has to do with a 335-year war, but there was never a battle or casualties. Can someone please talk to the orange person in the White House? The Dutch and the English once fought a 335-year war in which absolutely nothing happened. No battle, no casualty, and everyone forgot they were enemies for 3 centuries, which is basically the international relations version of leaving someone on red for 300 years. But in
So they had a battle of words and not wills.
yeah, so in 1640, during the English Civil War, Dutch Admiral Martin Tromp declared war on the tiny isles of Sicily after royal ships kept messing with Dutch trade. Then sailed off when the political situation changed and never got around to signing the paperwork to end it. Decades turned into centuries, island life carried on, and nobody noticed that they were technically at war until a local historian wrote to the Dutch in 1980s like,
Damn.
are we good? Prompting a very belated peace treaty in 1986 that officially ended the longest, laziest war in history.
We could never get the idiot and his band of merry men, because that's who the fuck is running the country right
Yeah,
now. Bunch
well,
of, but
yeah.
they call them the liquor cabinet, because they all drunk,
Yeah, they all are drunks. Yeah.
drunk or high,
Or
or what did
dementia.
they, or dementia, shitting on
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
So we could never get them to understand that.
Right,
That was
right.
just, I mean, but then again, we got to understand it's like Europe has a certain amount of decorum being centuries years old that this country being hundreds of years old will never have. Never
That's true.
have.
Very true. All right. So last
Shit,
year.
he basically want the Hunger Games on the 4th of July on the South Lawn in the White House.
Oh, Jesus have mercy. God help us. God.
And you know what? His base will sign up for that.
I know.
As
Yeah.
long as they sign up to be participants.
Oh, trust me, they will. They'll be going.
They will. They
They,
will.
they
It's a
gonna roll. They
call.
gonna roll up in their whole gear
And
and
they
whatever. Yeah, it's gonna be.
and their big old pickup trucks with the
Yeah,
Confederate flag
it
rifle
is.
rack, and they'll do it. They'll do it.
Yeah, they will. All right, so this last one is to all those folks who use spirit as their last resort. Now you cannot. And a lot of people showed up and could not get their spirit flight because spirit is no longer spirit. They have gone out of business. So this is to all those folks who pretty much rolled their suitcases into the airport. But before rolling suitcases, travelers basically dragged around heavy trunks like they were auditioning to the Victorian furniture movers. Because if you could afford to travel, you could afford people to carry your stuff. That changed when American tourist Bernard Shadow, tired of wrestling his bags through an airport in the 1970s, looked at a wheel cart and thought, why not my suitcase? Then bolted four casters to a bag and created the first luggage that glides. The real game changer came in 1987 when a pilot, Robert Platt, turned the suitcase upright, adding two wheels and a long handle, and accidentally invented the rollerboard and the modern airport power walk we all do while pretending our bags isn't going to tip over. So
I agree.
I'm imagining that a lot of folks who try to get their Spirit Air flight had the same problem and realized there was
Well,
no Spirit flight.
well, to give them a little bit of ease, because I was on one of the airlines this morning. They're telling them to check with the different airlines. A lot of the airlines are honoring those Spirit tickets,
Oh
thank
yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
No,
going to
they
be,
are.
it's going to be
They are.
40,000 people out of business. And if we think about it, Spirit was very integral in giving a platform for Black stewardesses and flight attendants. They're not stewardesses anymore; they're flight attendants. But they really did open up the door for Black flight attendants. Now, fun fact is there is a young
And
Black
gay, because
man.
there is a lot of gay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a young Black man that tried to buy Spirit, and they wouldn't let him buy it. You
Well,
can Google it. I don't know all of the ins and outs, but I know that he was looking into purchasing it, which I don't understand is why can't we get LeBron and and get LeBron and Oprah and Jay-Z and Beyonce and what's his name and Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, all of these black billionaires, Robert Smith, why don't y'all get together and try to buy it? Make it a real soul play.
Well, the thing is, I don't think first and foremost this administration will approve it
That's
because
true.
they would
That's
have to
true.
approve it.
Yeah.
They got on TV this morning and basically said that this is once again a Biden situation that they created because they wouldn't let them merge with JetBlue. But that spilled over into the Trump administration and they never even approved it either. So there's that. And
And there was a reason why Biden didn't approve it, because it would have went against that whole monopolization of the
exactly.
lowest, the cheapest airline. Spirit was made for people who didn't have the money to
Right.
pay $700, $800, $9 when they got a family of 2, 3, 4, and 5,
Right.
kids and whatnot. So it made it affordable for the average person.
Well,
This
the
country doesn't
initial,
give a fuck
yeah,
about affordability for the
yeah.
average person.
Well, yeah, the initial until you got there and then you had to pay for bag seats and
Yeah, but
all
that
kinds of
really
stuff.
wasn't a
But
surprise if you did it online. You knew that it was $40
you
a
did,
bag going.
yeah,
It was a
of
$40 a
course,
bag. It was $35 for your seat. It all of the fees were up front.
yeah,
It's just
it
baked into
was,
the cake. It's
it
baked into the
was,
cake for everyone else. And
right,
now all the other airlines are doing it.
right.
You
Well,
go
I
to
mean, you
you
had
go
to
to
pay for
United,
it. You had to pay for it later. You had the option to pay for it later.
pay
So if
for it
you wanted to
later.
get, yeah, you could pay for it
I
later.
mean,
Like, okay, yeah,
look at the other ones. I've looked at the other airlines. They do the same thing. If you go basic economy, then you got to pay for your seat. But if you upgrade for another $800, you can get your seat for free. Bitch, give me a fucking seat. I'm getting on the
yeah.
goddamn plane.
Right. Yeah. Now that's one thing that kind of got me with Southwest because I would travel Southwest a lot. Now, they did away with open seating.
Right.
They did away with your first bag flies free.
Yep.
So I mean, I for the most part, unless I'm traveling internationally or have to have an extended long time, I will have a carry on in a book bag and be cool. Um, but I mean,
I'm gonna tell you what, everybody needs to get those vacuum seal packs to pack with, because you can pack
mhm.
20 days in those vacuum seals. I got 5 outfits in one pack
Let
and
me
my
tell you, they had
toiletries in
those
another.
bags. They had those duffel bags that it's just
Yeah,
everything kind of rolls it. Yeah, I got one of those.
yep.
I
Yeah,
got one of
yep.
those.
The garment bag that turns into the
Yeah,
duffel bag.
yeah,
The only thing is, I want one on wheels. I don't want to have to lug it. I need one
yeah.
on wheels, y'all. Let's think about that.
Right,
Let's think
right.
about that. So
But yeah, so but those are your history facts for today. So getting into our show, girl, that ain't love.
well, can we talk about the fact that we're already on season 3?
We
Like
are on season three. That's right. That's right. Season three, episode
we are
one.
on
Yes, this is great. We
See,
three
Women Talk Loud don't
seasons.
take no breaks, y'all. Y'all act like we ain't got nothing to do but talk to y'all every week and whatnot. We don't take no breaks. We go from season 1 to season 2 to season 3. We're gonna
Right.
give y'all some
And
rerun skills
yeah, and not to mention we are on the CW in
in
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, so we got some shows
Yeah.
coming up for that.
We
But
might even be in Miami. You never know.
you never know. Never
You
know.
never know.
I
Fun in the
mean, there's
sun.
not a lot of black representation down in Miami, so I'm happy and thrilled to go down there and hopefully
Support them
showcase
black businesses
some
when you
black
go.
businesses. Yeah, showcase some black
Yeah.
businesses because they don't get a lot of exposure down there. So
Drop the black businesses in the comments, y'all, when y'all
yes,
listen.
let us
Oh,
Here
know.
where we
on
Let us
can
know.
visit.
on
Yeah.
Spotify or YouTube. You can leave comments on wherever
Yeah,
you listen
right.
to
Let
us.
us
Yeah.
know.
Leave a
Definitely.
comment. Let us know. Let us know so we can reach out to them.
All right, so we're talking about why you keep calling chaos chemistry.
Woo!
Okay, so
That's
have
the
you
burner
ever looked
for
back?
Sunday.
Have you ever looked back on a relationship, and I know I have, where you be like, "Damn, what the hell was I thinking?" Yeah, I've
Stuck
done.
on stupid.
Yeah, right.
And we
And
all been there.
you're looking like, was I drunk the whole time? Like, I mean, what the hell? Um, but so I am gonna share a clip, but you have these public arguments where they're listed as goals or whatever.
Couple goals.
But
Couple goals.
couple goals. So there are some clips that obviously go viral, and whereas a couple, they may be standing out in the street, in the restaurant, or a parking lot, screaming at each other, cussing, name calling, throwing, like jabs, and like just basically just calling each other out of their name. By the end, they'll hug, laugh it off, caption something like, "We might be crazy, but that's real love," or "We ride or die." And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking at them like, y'all look like fucking idiots. That's just
Yeah, I look at him like I would never. If I had a relationship, and I've been in chaotic, manipulative, relationships, and it's exactly what our title says. Like, girl, that's not love. Thinking that chemistry and that chaos was
right.
chemistry. That's some bull. First of all, I'm not going to put myself on blast on social media for
No,
infinity and
no,
beyond for
no.
the world to see. I'm not
Right.
going to do it.
Or
I'm
even
not.
not even in public. Not even in
I
public.
just, I
But
just saw
I mean,
one where they were
where do
laying
you
in
get all the
bed.
energy to extend to that type of engagement and then have the energy or the emotional bandwidth to take care of the
yeah,
rest of your day? Like when you go that hard at somebody, like it's exhausting. And to do that
yeah,
as a precursor or as foreplay is
Yep.
insane.
It's
yeah.
insane.
So
I just
here,
saw one where the couple was laying in bed. They were literally laying in bed, throwing jabs at each other, and then turned the light out and went to sleep. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way I'm turning over going to sleep. After you done called me everything but the child of God and I done emasculated you, I can't close my
but
eyes beside you.
yeah, here's an example. Here's an example. This was actually filmed on social media, but
Oh my
here's an
God.
example.
I'll
Okay.
set my tea.
Phone, man.
I'm on Instagram.
Man, I don't want to
You
hear that
see
old
what I'm doing
stupid
in my
ass.
phone?
Man,
Don't
you
start
always
with me,
doing.
bro.
Man, I'm not finna
Don't
start
start
with you. I'm
with me.
just saying, man. If you don't
We
work for
having a
Apple,
good day.
T-Mobile, Microsoft, your ass should be in the
Take
phone
that
that
shit,
much.
man. That shit not
I ain't
funny.
say that
Shut
shit was
up.
funny,
You
old
always
stupid
trying to be
ass
funny.
bitch.
Oh, your mama a bitch.
Your mama a bitch.
And this the example you want to set in front of the kids?
Man, they know who to fucking play with. Shut the fuck up.
Yes, sir. Disrespectful.
No, you disrespectful, man.
That shit not funny.
Man, that's the type of shit
ain't
they
cool.
do. Then you listen.
Last time
They
I
listen.
checked, my dad was in that goalie. You don't write shit
man.
over here.
Shit,
You
if
don't
you
write
keep
shit
fucking
with
playing
your
with me, I'm gonna
mouth.
be in there.
Stop playing with me.
When I go there and go with them, don't say nothing.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna hurt
You
you.
sound so stupid.
Who
Aggravating.
sounds stupid? Man, you don't set your
Stupid.
motherfucking. Man, I'm finna say something on
What?
you, bro.
Say. Cause you said bitch,
Man,
what can be worse?
You dinosaur looking bitch.
Oh, and you
Oh my God.
And this
And
is
y'all
what this is
together.
this is what y'all posted as relationship goals. Okay.
That is not even a goal. One is not funny. It's an
No.
insight into the immaturity of both of them, the lack of discipline. Because I think in relationships, and I'm gonna say a couple of things, people ain't gonna like it. And yes, I'm single. No, I ain't never been married, okay? But I think you don't really know a person until one, you live with their asses, two, you travel with them, or three, you have your first argument and see how they resolve conflict.
Yes. Exactly.
Period. Period. And then he gonna cuss the kids out.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that was my niece and I seen my niece post some shit, like, first one, I'm gonna fucking take that shit down right now.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
number two, I need y'all come over. I'm having a family dinner, and
Right.
I'm gonna have something to come over. And I
Exactly.
want him coming down, and then you call my niece a bitch in my face. Say it in front of her uncle. Say it in front of her daddy.
Let me tell you one thing, because my daughter's getting ready to get married. Before he asked my daughter, he did come have a conversation with me, asked me, "Hey, listen, I do want to propose to your daughter," and I told him, I said, "Okay." I said, that's cool, because I mean, I like the young man, very nice, respectful young man. I said, "Well, let's sit down and have a conversation." I said, first and foremost,
That's scary with April.
I just said, my daughter said that whoever they did is always they terrified of me. But in the first, I told him, I said, "Listen," I said, "I've known you for a while. You're a respectful, nice young man." I said, "I respected you coming to my door and introducing yourself with your mom when you and my daughter started dating." I said, so what I'm about to say It's just because it's coming from a person who is a mom. And who you want to marry is my daughter, my firstborn. I said, first and foremost, don't ever put your hands on her because no jail will be able to hold you. And secondly,
I love it. I love it.
secondly, don't ever call her out of her name. I said, because my 7 foot will have to be surgically removed. Just so we clear on that.
So now let me ask this, because we always talk about it from the guy coming after the girl. Maybe I see, like, I have daughters and I have sons. But some of these young women are wild as hell. And it's not the guys or the women that need to be protected from the guys. It's the guys that need to be protected from the girls. And the stuff that these women or these girls are saying to these guys, it's not just one sided. If a girl wants to come, I remember I used to joke with my sons that on the day they got married, I was going to walk them down the aisle because they were just as special, as important as that girl would be on their wedding day. Because I need for them to understand their value in a relationship as well. It's all, we always tend to go off of the perspective, and maybe it's because we are women, but it's society wise, it's always, the bride's day and the bride's this and, the woman that, happy wife, happy life. But you
Right.
now have men who are being emasculated daily. You have men who are being, struck and physically abused, and it's never spoken about, and it's okay. And these chicks are wilding. So even on other side, yeah, he may have called out her name, but my mother always told me it's not what you called, it's what you answer to. Which is why I would never joke with my girlfriends and say, the B word. Or I would never allow myself to be called the B word. So I don't necessarily think it's really, he's the main one at fault. When a lot of times these girls are in these guys' faces, they're exacerbating the situation. Oh, say it, say it. Oh, you're not gonna say it. Oh, you're not gonna do. The guy try to walk away, she follows him. So I think it's a human thing that these bad traits that people are exhibiting, and it's not just oh well, it's the girl who needs to be protected when
Yeah,
these
and
guys are out for
now,
a lot
I
of
mean,
women.
I
to
tell
say
my
that,
nephews, I tell my nephews, basically, and they haven't really started like dating any one woman in particular, but I'm like, keep your hands to yourself. But if they ever introduce us to anyone, I'm gonna tell them keep your hands to yourself. I said it to my older nephews
Yeah,
when they were dating, like, don't you call yourself putting your hands on him because we didn't raise punching bag. Now we tell them not to hit women, but
and
if
I
you gonna
think
come
that's
off
a
at
bully.
them, right, right,
right
right.
now, I will say,
If
I
I
will
teach
say
my
this.
sons not to hit women, and you know that, and you hit them, you just a bully because you know there's no repercussions. But trust,
Right.
they got sisters and a mama who will stand in the steed, or what we consider a second, where you can
Auntie.
what is it, tag
Yeah.
team in,
We can tap
aunties,
in.
yeah,
Tap
like,
in.
don't
That
don't
goes to
put your
that
hands
goes
on
to
my son.
show, but that goes to show what's being shown in these households. So for me, like I said, I do have two daughters. The entire time that I was married to their father, they never once, not one time, ever heard me call their father out of their name. We never even really argued in front of them. And not to mention, no matter how I thought he did some dumbass shit, I never allowed them to see that. They always saw that I gave their father the respect as the man of the house. And I also said to them, and even when my daughter, because I know my daughter sometimes she can be slick at the mouth. There were a couple of times where, not when she was saying something like insulting or whatever, but she would be like, he would ask her something. She's like, I told you. And I was like, hey, come on now. He was just asking you a question. You ain't got to talk like that. Cut that out. And
Exactly.
and then she was like, "Am I?" Then but I tell them all the time, and I told them both this. Like I said, I had my conversation with him because I had to have my conversation with him because I knew
Hmm.
her father wasn't going to do it. I'm just sorry, he wasn't going to do it, and he did come to me and ask me, and I gave him that. But I did tell him prior to what I said. You were raised to be a respectful. I respect you because first and foremost, when you did come to my door, you came to my door and introduced yourself before my daughter even brought you anywhere with your mom and introduced me to your mom. And from that point on, I had a lot of respect for him. And he's always been a very respectful young man. And I told him, I said, I look at you as my son anyway. But I had to sit down and have that conversation. Now, granted, I tell my daughters too. I don't care whether it's man, woman, or whatever. You show the same respect that you expect somebody to give you. If you want to disrespect somebody, then you better put your big
Be
girl
prepared for the
pants on
disrespect.
and receive whatever it is that you're giving. Point blank. Period.
But
But
you point that out, April, and I'm looking at your notes. You stated, and I noticed that this is a system in survival mode, and I don't think people think about that. If we look at this, and we can take the recent events between Meg and Clay.
yeah,
Meg broke up with him because he was cheating, but she said, "I even stayed with you through your horrible mood swings." And that right there should have been a red flag to her. You know
yeah,
what I mean? But it
it is.
wasn't. So she was, and it sounded like even she said the horrible mood swings. I'm reading this that you were walking on eggshells. And
Yeah,
then they called it passion. But you
all
were
right.
like, the red flags, ladies, to look for is the
Yeah,
public humiliation,
yeah.
being treated as normal. That what we just saw. And that ain't the only one. You can go up and down any social media platform and see some bullshit
Exactly.
like that. It's
Exactly.
not normal. Like
Right.
like like the media is trying to normalize this bullshit administration. The shit ain't normal.
It's
It's
not.
not. It's not
Right.
normal. The
Right.
the what is it? Just vibes and makeup kisses, like you're not repairing what happened,
Yeah,
and
you
then
glossed
using
over it.
Right.
and here's the
Right.
one everybody uses. That's just how we are.
Yeah. No.
That's just how we are. Where
No.
you how
Toxic.
you are is fucked up.
Right. Exactly.
That's how you
Exactly.
are.
And I mean, and I can relate because even with being married as long as I was, there were a lot of things that I tend to that I just dealt with. And even when coming home and not knowing who I was going to be presented with when I got home.
Dang.
Like and things where you tend to cover up because you don't want him to be looked at in a bad light. And then after a while it does become exhausting.
Normal. But
And
but
then
you
they
And you're
normalized
sitting there like,
you normalized it. You
right,
normalized that exhaustion, not only for you but for your girls.
right, exactly. So I mean, and then even the last point, using uh as an excuse for growth. That's not growth. Because in my experience, it led to us ultimately separating and divorcing. So, and then I'm not realizing that what I was dealing with, I had to go way back and really get an understanding of why I was so accepting of that, or why I looked at that as, oh, that's just him, or that's just us, or that's just us. I had to realize, why in the hell, like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? So, you know,
We got to look at like what's healthy in a relationship. So and you don't, first of all, and we've all been in relationships. Kim, you're married. April's been married. We've all had arguments on the way to an event, but when you got out that car, it was a united front. The people
that was
at that
me. That
event
was
didn't
me.
need to know.
That was
They
me.
didn't need to know that y'all had been arguing just before you got there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? So you did protect each other's dignity. You
Right.
take space instead of performing your dysfunction for the audience. Because I remember in one relationship, the girlfriend, the brother and his girlfriend, because it was a family home when I was living with him. So the brother and his girlfriend had a room, and then we had our room, and they were always fighting. And then my boyfriend at the time, he said, "Stop opening up the bedroom door because they need a fucking audience." And the minute we stopped opening up the door to see what was going on, I think that argument would last 2 minutes. They had nobody to perform for.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even
Yeah.
over time, I've had to learn how to have better conversations and conflict because I will cut you off at the knees in a heartbeat. You
Hmm.
know, you fat neck bastard. It was nothing for me to say some shit like that, hot
Right.
dog neck, stuff like that.
Right.
But I've had to, I've had to grow. That's growth, getting better and
Yeah.
saying, like, sit down and have a real
Yeah.
conversation with the,
Right.
I feel when you do this, I feel this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think
Because,
Hmm.
people
and I
want to do
think
that.
even I know even after during my separation and even getting divorced, I got in a relationship and I had no business getting into. And then it got
Facts.
to the point where it was like it was arguments and I'm sitting there like, well, how am I arguing with somebody I ain't married with? I don't even like to argue. And finally I had to realize that I couldn't put that all on him. I
Right.
had to realize that I was not ready for a relationship. I had to
Nope.
be by myself to really understand who I was again. I couldn't do that living with somebody else or dealing with somebody else. And I had to and not to mention I knew I had two girls. I didn't want to have them see, you know, me going through chaos with somebody else. Like no,
Hmm.
I had to step back and I had to take some time for myself and really focus on me and my girls and whatever. But a lot of people are afraid to be alone. And they
That's
think
growth.
that being in a relationship is going to heal you, and it's not
I
Oh,
at
think
that's
all.
true.
every, go ahead. I'm sorry, Kay.
Oh, no, no, no. I was like, that's true. I think that a lot of times people grow up in dysfunction that they normalize from their own perspective because as you grow up as a child, that's all you know. So, you see how your mother deals with conflict, you see how your father or, or your siblings or whatever deal with conflict, and you start to internalize, okay, and say, okay, well, if I act this way, this is the response that happens. For me personally, I always looked at things whereas because I grew up in the military and always being the new kid, I really learned how to code switch, how to be present in an environment, but not really how correction, how to exist in an environment, but not be present in that environment. I
Okay.
knew what people expected me to act like or what I was supposed to say, especially when my parents were around. I didn't want to give anybody a reason to not like me or be disappointed in me because that's how I got love in terms of a transaction. If I did this, then my sister would play with me, or if I did this, the people at school would be nice to me, so on and so forth. And so when you grow up with that, you carry that into everything where you have to make yourself useful. And so when I had my kids, even though I couldn't necessarily correct that behavior in myself in the moment, I knew going forward that I didn't want my kids to experience that. So I always told my kids, you're valuable. Like if this happens to you, you don't have to accept it. Like, you're loved unconditionally. Like, make that understood. And I
Hmm.
remember when my son started, the little girl the young woman now that he has his son with, I was telling her, when Alex is little, when Edward was little, I would whisper in his ear, like, you're a descendant of kings and scholars, like, things of that nature. And she was like, oh, that's why he is the way he is now. I'm like, the way he is now is why you chase after him, because he knows who he is, because he
Right.
knows that, he's loved. He don't have to do this. He understands the strength of a woman because he has older sisters. He understands the softness of a woman because he has nieces. And he has to, from an emotional standpoint, when all of those women were introduced to him, they were introduced to him with the mindset of this is how you treat this person. This is who this person is to you. So his first connection with the woman that he had to nurture, like his nieces, he already had that gentle touch. When it came to his sisters used to whip his ass to do the dishes. Mom and dad not here. Like, so he understood the strength of a woman, but he also knew he wasn't supposed to hit his sister's back. So it's how can I put it? It's a fine line between how we navigate relationships from our younger youth and what we bring into our current relationships and how that dynamic changes. Like April, you were married for over 10 years. I've been married over shit almost 30. years. And in the course of that, when I saw how I operated in the beginning and the trajectory that it was taking, there had to be a pause button pushed,
Right.
because after a while you start to see that this doesn't work for me. It works for everybody else. Everybody
Right.
else gets, is happy with the scenario, but internally I struggle with a lot of issues within myself to say, okay, if I stop this behavior, what am I going to lose from that behavior? But I found me. And when I found me, it was,
It was no turning
it
back
was
after
a
that.
no turning back. And then you see that, people value you, the people who value you for who you truly are, not for what you bring to the table, are the ones who stick around through the changes. Like,
Hmm.
to his defense, my husband's never said the B word. I don't think he's ever said the B word. Like, ever. I remember the only time in 32 years that I've known this man, the only time he ever said the B word was when a woman ran into the back of him at a stoplight on his way to take his final exam. And she lied and said that he just stopped short. He was like, this bitch just hit me. And that's when I heard him say the B word. Never before. So I think how you talk to people and how you allow people to talk to you, that whole showboating thing,
Mhm.
that's a young kid's game. I don't see a lot of people our age doing that. I think that, collectively for the
Shit.
generation,
What?
everybody
Oh,
trying to have a viral
What
moment.
you on the wrong
yeah,
social media
no.
platforms?
Yeah, I've
Because
seen.
I
I
see
think
it.
everybody trying to have a viral moment.
They
Everybody want to
are.
have their stuff seen.
They are.
And
But what
like
I
he was like,
realized,
once don't open the bedroom door.
but I
Pretty much.
realized
That's why they post everything online.
Yeah, I realized that for me, as in my dating life, and it took me until I was well into my 40s before I realized this, and that says something because I spent the first 19 years of my life with three different men, right? So they were all long term like relationships, right? So if I look at that, I realize that I can't deal with men who aren't connected to their family, don't
Hmm.
have a good relationship with their family, and who were raised to survive and not on love. Because I was raised on love. I wasn't raised to survive.
Hmm.
And trying to love a person that was raised to survive is exhausting in and of itself.
Can't give
So, and
enough.
you can't give enough, you can't do enough, and as it sounds like with your love was a transactional basis. That's not. If I do something for anybody, I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. I'm not doing it of, ooh, this person might want, like, say they like watches, and I see a watch that they like. Let me get this watch for them. So what you want now? I don't want shit. I know
Right,
you like watches. I saw the
right.
watch. I thought of you. I can't go through
Yeah,
that type of thing anymore. It's like
understandable.
you
Yeah.
you I can't do it. It's like, what is this? The situationship? But the chemistry is crazy,
Yeah,
girl.
yeah.
Hmm.
So we have so this is just something, just a blob of what a woman normally, some women will say. We're not official, but act like we're together. We talk every day. We sleep together. I've met some of his friends. He says he's not ready for a relationship right now, but the chemistry is insane. I can't imagine starting over with someone new.
Yeah.
The chemistry is not the problem. The problem is that she's using chemistry to negotiate down her standards.
Standards. Yeah.
So we have to stop pretending that mixed signals are mysterious and deep. That's usually just mixed signals. I've heard this from women. Not all women, but I have heard this from women where I think the man will say, well, I'm not ready for a relationship. But you're doing all the stuff, but there's no
In the
clear
relationship.
understanding. And
There's
yeah, it's no clear understanding. Hey, listen, if y'all have an understanding, perfect, great, whatever. But 9 times out of 10, one of y'all don't have a clear
I mean,
understanding.
that's the definition, the very definition of a situationship is that one
Yeah,
is more involved in the situation than the other. I
right.
don't have a problem with situationships. I have a problem when women, because men don't do this. Well, the majority of men don't do this. Women will cut all other men off. You
Yes,
can be in a situationship.
right, right,
Don't cut yourself off to giving
exactly,
other men airtime
exactly.
and and giving yourself and giving your presence to these other
Yeah.
men. I'm not saying you have to sleep with everybody,
No.
but maybe you can go and have coffee, go do
Right.
whatever with
Right.
other men, because this man that you really want is out here
Right.
entertaining other people.
Exactly. Keep auditions open.
Keep your auditions open.
Well,
It's
one
not like
thing,
and it's not like you trying to make him jealous, but you can't make yourself stagnant
Mm-hmm.
thinking that he's going to change, because more than likely he's not.
Right.
More than likely
especially if
he's
he
not.
did
So you got
everything he needs done by you in that situationship. But one thing that I do realize that a lot of women do is subscribe to the sunken cost fallacy, which
what is
means
that?
it's, how can I put it? It's where you, like, I invested too much time to leave. So you keep, throwing good money after bad money, or good
Oh,
energy after
boy.
bad energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, if I leave him now, he gonna get with somebody else. He gonna be a better man. They'll get to have him. I'm just gonna stay. Or, well, I know he cheated, but he said he not gonna do that no more. Every now and then I give him a little break. You keep investing in something because you have a aversion to loss, because you don't want to, but you keep giving your energy to something that is not going to be prosperous, but you have these denial tactics in your head that allow you to kind of justify it to yourself, like you ignore the past mistakes, or you get outside perspectives, but you only get them from the people who can agree with you. You'll cut
Right.
off your friends or whatever who trying to get you out of the relationship, because you want to keep investing, thinking that eventually, kind of like when you play the slots at the casino and it has that big number, like it'll tip over, and you'd be like, well, shit, if I put one more quarter in, I'll be the winner. And
Right.
that's how, with relationships, a lot of women stay because they feel like they've invested so much time,
Listen,
and or the guy's getting better, or he's not doing as much
Right. And they
shit as
don't
he
realize
used
that time is expensive.
time is very
exactly.
expensive, because like I said, I did it. I
Yo,
stayed. I stayed in a relationship I knew I shouldn't have stayed in, and we were in a full-fledged relationship. It wasn't even a situationship. You know what I'm saying? So I knew, as I would say on my podcast, that they've overstayed their welcome. That women aren't stronger than their loneliness, and as April had to find out, even KL, you had to find out. You needed to be by yourself to figure out who you were as a person, as a
Right.
woman. What did you want? How did you feel? And then women, it's very hard. Like I tell women, I became celibate for 5 years because I was using sex to fill a space that was
Yeah.
still empty after the sex. And I
Right.
was like, what am I getting out of this situation other than a wet ass? And I can give myself a wet ass, if you know what I mean.
There you go.
So you have to ask yourself, like, why am I having sex? Why am I having it? What am I doing? And I think women, we don't ask ourselves enough of that. Now, on the other side, men don't like to be alone either.
No, they don't.
It's just that
They don't.
society and the patriarchy that we live under won't allow them to say that. It's a lot of lonely motherfucking men out here. Matter of fact, the shit that y'all got going on right now, you motherfuckers ain't lonely enough, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
For real.
you're not, because you can be alone, and women aren't lonely, and there's the difference.
Yeah.
There's the difference in us being alone and not being alone. I will never be lonely. I got too many people in my tribe.
Yeah. 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 And
You
sometimes I
know,
don't mind being by myself.
I don't mind being by
yeah.
yourself. It's a peacefulness to it.
I get shit done with some time while I'm by myself. Dude, I ain't gonna
Right.
lie. But
Hmm.
I know we're running short on time, so I want to kind
Yes,
of
we
just
are. Yes, we are.
and we're gonna have to revisit this because there is a lot more that we can
Let's
get
do a
into.
part two, because we do
Yeah,
have a lot to talk about.
we do, we
Do a
do.
part
But
two.
I want to
We
get
can bring y'all part two next week.
right, right. But I
Oh
want
no,
to get
next week
into.
is Mother's Day.
Oh, next week is Mother's Day. That's right. That's right. So we're gonna have to do a Mother's Day
Oh,
special or something.
special. Yeah.
But I do want to get into just a couple of things. Micro healing. So you can present these. Well, 3 shifts you can try this week. Slow down your yes. And if you don't know what that means, don't jump into something or just because they buy you this or they show you attention or whatever, then all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm so in love. This is
That's
the person.
love bombing.
That's no. Um,
I like that. Slow down your shifts. Yeah.
slow down your
I mean,
yes.
slow your yes. Your
Yes.
yes.
So if you tend to jump in When the chemistry is strong, practice slowing down. Date longer before committing. Watch what they do when they are disappointed, embarrassed, or told no. That's where their characters show. So I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with slow walking. You know, I did it. I slow walk.
But they call us up. They call. You can tell them I'm a slow burn.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
I'm a slow burner. I don't whatchamacallit. I gotta watch
Right,
and I gotta see and I gotta feel. But I
right.
like what you said when you tell them no, because that really, really, really. I had a conversation
That
with a
shows.
friend and she told a dude no, and he went completely left. He went
Hmm.
completely left.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So you
show.
gotta watch that.
Right. So, let yourself feel boring safely. If peace feels boring, don't run. Sit in it. Notice how your body reacts when someone texts back consistently, shows up on time, and doesn't play games. The discomfort isn't a red flag about them. It might be a sign that your nervous system is used to chaos.
I love that.
Hmm.
Sit in the
Now, I will say
stillness.
this. My mother told me a long time ago, how you start is how you finish.
Mm-hmm.
If the stuff or behavior that one is exhibited to you, or that the behavior that you feel you have to exhibit to be around this person, isn't something that you feel comfortable with existing on a continual long-term basis, don't go
Sustaining.
there,
Right.
because it's not going to be a matter of them changing or you changing. You are always going to be, like April mentioned, in a constant state of anxiety, a constant state of alertness, that walking on eggshells, because you cannot hold that, consistently. Even with, how the guy treats you, if that's not behavior that you like, consistent. If he's bad with money and it makes you nervous because you were financially insecure growing up, like, you got to understand that, and either get him in a financial class and see if he do better, or leave him alone, because it's how you start is how you finish.
Right.
People are who you meet.
That
When
is
you meet them, that's exactly going to be who they are.
right. And finally, tell yourself the truth on paper. Grab a journal and answer, what did I grow up believing love looked like? What patterns do I see between my last three relationships or situationships? And if my younger self watched me today, what would she think I deserve? Man, if a younger person looked at me today, they'd have been like, God damn.
But you know what though? I love these three points, and I'm going to do the journal, tell the truth on
Yeah.
paper, and
Right.
because I've done that over time. When I'm in a relationship, I do a pro and a con list. Like, what are the good things and what are the bad things? And the bad normally outweigh the good,
Yeah. Right.
and you
Right.
have to
And you
make a
still
decision
went
from
in.
that. So,
That's true. And
huh?
you should tell
And
yourself.
I stayed. It's been not like I went in.
Right.
These were relationships
Yep.
that I was in.
Right. Right.
And I stayed, even
Yep.
though the
Yeah.
bad outweighed the good. And
Yeah.
sometimes it was neck and neck.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
Sunk
even it was an
cost
Stop
even
lying to
playing
fallacy,
field.
yourself.
And
Stop lying
because
to
you were
yourself.
already invested.
Right.
Sunk
Yeah.
cost
yep,
fallacy, because
'cause
you was already
I wasn't
Yeah.
invested.
stronger than I wasn't stronger
Exactly.
than my loneliness.
Yeah.
And once I
So
became stronger than my loneliness, it became a wrap.
right. So at the end of the day, if you can be honest with someone, please be honest with yourself.
Yeah,
Amen.
All right, but like I said, we're going to do a part two because it was a whole
yeah,
lot
we
of other
have
stuff
to.
that I got into. But yeah, it's not love.
Great, this is great. This is a great part one. I love this. I absolutely love this.
All right, so my final thought for today is Facebook should have a limit on how many times you can change your relationship status. After three, it should default to unstable.
I love it. I love it. I
That's
love it. I
funny.
like the whole it's complicated. Like, what's complicated about it's complicated means you married, you involved, or
Right.
you just full of shit.
Yeah,
Like, don't
that
don't put
part.
it's complicated. I don't
That
get
part.
it. I
Yeah,
don't get
that
it.
makes no sense. No sense at all. All right. All right, ladies. So that's our show. But
No,
this
what's
is
our poll question for
oh,
this
our
week?
poll question. Sorry. Yeah. So our poll question is: have you personally confused chaos with love in a relationship? We want to hear from you. Let us know
Yes.
what you say.
Amen.
Yes, no, it's complicated.
Yes, no, it's complicated.
All right, y'all. This is Women's Talk Live with your girl, April J.
I'm your girl, SassyScribe.
And this is KL Boogie.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Bye.
Women talk live.